I've just bought myself the cheapest Mercedes CLS63 Amg in the country. Market value, 35,000. I purchased it for £16,000. I bought it on the basis of a non-runner, basically. So it's not got no start to it. It's another project, I guess. This is the real German muscle car. Just have a look at that. Non-runner, no crank. No crank. Okay. So here's the key to the Benz. I'm going to try and crank the engine. Brakes and turn. So we now have the CLS63 on the ramp. First thing to do is remove all the piping. The plan is to drop it downwards. Let's see where we're at with the CLS63 Amg, as the engine is now completely missing. There you go. Crankshaft, conrods, the lot of it. Look how hard it is to remove this cap. It's clearly the problem. I can feel thousands of bits everywhere. So with the CLS Amg, got a little update for you guys. Things just don't get easier for this. So I say when it comes to engine rebuilds, it's not straightforward. But if you're wondering where's part 2, this is the reason. Let me show you guys. So here's the block, right? The Amg block. I've got the crank inside. We put the bearings in. We torqued it down. And guess what? The crank will not spin. That's after sending this block to the machine shop to have a line hole on it. So now I'm just thinking, did the machine shop make a mistake? Did they make a problem? Because I just can't see the reason why this is not spinning. The crank was supplied by Brothers Performance, so I'm going to head over there now with the block just to see what situation it is and we'll take it from there. Let's go. Let's make our ways. To London, we have now arrived at Brothers Performance. Let's go inside and have a chat. Look at this E63S Amg. Looks like one of DMO's gang. Engine's fully stripped out. Looks like something big is going down on this one. So I've just come into the engine room. They built all the engines up. Look at this, amazing. So I got Tilio from Brothers Performance. Can you show me around what's going on here?
Yeah, man. Well, this is basically is a stock
Yeah.
engine build with new pistons, new rods,
Right.
new bearings,
Okay.
stem seals, bolts, everything.
So just a factory rebuild, yeah?
Factory rebuild.
M157, same as mine basically.
Yeah. The only thing that he opted out for is the cleaning. So he didn't opt for cleaning the engine because obviously
All right.
everything has a cost, and if it costs more money, people sometimes opt out for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And they don't want that. That's the
These are the mad ones, isn't it?
mad ones, yeah. That's 1500 rated.
1500 bhp.
Yeah, rated
insane.
blocks. Same as that.
So you got two 1500
Same as that, and then we've got the
rated
back
blocks.
one here. Block has been done with obviously using the Formula 1 technology Capricorn block. Pistons, Italian RP pistons, Italian RP rods, rated at 1500 brake horsepower again. Cost for this build is around £37,000.
No way.
It's not a joke.
the whole
liners,
thing, yeah.
Yeah, it's got duct and sleeve liners. Obviously the amount of work going into it to get it done. The pistons and rods, bearings, all the time in check. So we're never going to use anything that was previously on the engine.
So just heading back to the workshop. Big shout out to Brothers Performance, because right now the block is in the boot of my car and the crank is spinning freely. When I get back, I'll explain the reason why it was stuck and it wasn't moving. See you guys there. So I'm going to use this block as an example to explain what issues we had on my CLS Amg. This is basically F-Speed's block. Just gathering dust outside at the moment, waiting for scrap. So over here you see our main journals. This is where the crankshaft sits. Now we had put the bearings in correctly. First of all, before all of that, this block went to the machine shop to get a line hole on it. And the reason for that is the bearing spun on this end journal. If you don't do a line hole, it's going to be out of size, so it won't accept the bearings in the crank. It's going to get stuck. So long story short, we had the line honing done. We then put standard bearings. We put the crank in, we torqued it down to correct Mercedes settings, and guess what? The crank won't spin. So after going to Brothers Performance, we established that all the journals were fine. It actually happens to be the same journal that actually failed. What we found was the bottom bearing had to be changed to a smaller bearing, and once we changed that bearing, then it started spinning again. So luckily it wasn't nothing more than that. I'd point the mistake down to the machine shop. See, with engine rebuilds there can be so many issues. Machine shop is one of them, waiting for parts, and the list goes on. Waiting times as well. You know how long this has taken. After all of that, we now have success, which is the best part. The crank is now freely spinning, and we have built the engine back up now according to that. So what's going on, guys? This is Nams, and we are finally back with an update on the Mercedes CLS63 Amg video. On my right, I've got the engine here completely assembled back up. I'm gonna flip the camera around and show you. Just look at that monster. The 5.5 litre V8 completely assembled back up, ready to go back in. Took us 3 days to build this monster back up. As you can see, you got loads of ancillaries and stuff. Remember, this was down to the bare component, right to the block. Every rod and piston was out, looking like an absolute unit. This engine is going straight back to where it came from. Right there. So we are literally going to attach the crane back to this now and put it right back in. And the next part will be, of course, putting the gearbox back on, lining up all the wires and ancillaries as usual, and going for the start. I know you guys have waited a very long time for this rebuild to happen, but as I've explained in my previous videos, we've been extremely busy. We got caught up with a few other V8 builds here, and not only that, the parts on this have been so hard to get hold of. The crank, the bearings, rods, everything's just been on back order. So yeah, we finally got everything and we're here now. That's what matters. Let's get this engine back in and let's start this beast up. Because it's been out of action for so long, I'm so excited to have this car started, more than any other cars I've done lately. It's just been sitting in the back of the unit right there. It's mad, isn't it? That's what you get with engine rebuilds. You just can't guess what's going to happen. I'll be honest with you, if I didn't have so much customers lined up the last few months, this would have been out last month. Even though there were so many ups and downs with the parts, I think it's enough talking. You guys deserve a real update, starting the engine up and hitting the roads. So without further ado, let's get started. And just like that, the engine is hoisted to the crane and we are moments away from putting this engine back in again. I'm very excited, very excited. Look at this setup here. I find it very interesting. These are the downpipes, and you see how they've been made flat to make way for the sidewall. Look, it's so flush, look. And also the way the turbo pipes just go up. That just looks insane. So before we put the engine back in, we've got to torque the flywheel bolts in correctly. So we're doing right now, as you can see with the torque wrench. Accuracy is everything in engines. See that? 20 Newton meters, bang on. Here we go. Big engine, big V8. Going back in. Car's already jacked up. So we're gonna go up in the air. We're gonna insert the gearbox in. I think that's gonna be tomorrow anyway. It's come to the end of day today. In case some of you guys haven't noticed, this here, the CLS Amg sitting on, is a brand new ramp, and the other one there. So we've loaded up with 5 ramps now. It's definitely helped the flow of the workshop. All right, new day today. The engine is obviously in from yesterday. The gearbox is on. Everything else is wired up. We've got the booster attached. I'm gonna jump in now and go for the start. The big moment, as everyone calls it. Let's jump in and let's crank this beast up. Look at this, got spider webs everywhere. 4 months of wait. So the key thing here is we don't want the car to start and run. We need the oil to get around. That's the main thing here. So even if it starts now, we are gonna switch it straight back off again. We are gonna prime the oil pump first to make sure the oil is circulating around properly. It's a V8 performance engine, so we must do that first. I'll do about 4 primes, so let's get this started. That's it, 1, 2. That's just cut the engine there. The engine has now started. I just had the engine start, but I switched it off straight away because I need the oil to circulate. It's very important. But glad to say the engine has finally started on this CLS Amg. Big moment. Second time, we'll do 2 more and we're gonna start this car. 1 more prime and we're gonna start this car and we're gonna leave it running. Right. I'm gonna let the starter motor cool down now, put all the fuses and the fuel lines back on, and we're gonna start this car once and for all. Look forward to it, guys. Fuses back on, fuel line is on. Okay, we're now gonna go for the final start and we're gonna leave the engine running. Let's see how this goes. Alright. Ignore the airbag light. The fuel level is very low. Top of the coolant, that's fine. We got engine management light there. We're gonna have to check that out first of all. But let's step out. The CLS63 Amg is now alive. Check it out. What a madness. It took 4 months and we're here. Madness. Can you believe that? 4 months later, we finally have this engine completely running up. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to scan the vehicle to see what's coming up for that fault code and start from there. That's the first step. So let's do a full health report on this, see what kind of fault codes we got. We're going to have to clear a lot of those fault codes anyway because everything was stripped out, as you remember, and obviously we got a lot of things still disconnected which need to go back on, so we're going to have loads more fault codes coming through. But the main point is we're going to clear the codes, see what remains and start from there. As far as the engine goes, we've got like a few fault codes for starter motor, oxygen sensor and fan. Let's clear these up and let's see what remains. Right, so I've just cleared the codes. We've got only two fault codes for the engine. The output for electrical fan 1 has an open circuit and a pressure sensor 2 has a short circuit. So let's start the car back up. I don't see these causing any problems to the engine itself anyway. I think I need to get some fuel in this car because it's completely dead and I feel like it's not letting the engine run for too long. Let's go get some fuel. Not in this car, obviously. Right, so we finally managed to start up the CLS Amg, and obviously you guys have seen that we now have a misfire on cylinder 1. So what we're going to do is pop the spark plugs out and the ignition coil, have a look at that and see if there's any issues down there. Once we see that, we'll be able to establish what the misfire is coming from. I'm hoping it's either a spark plug or ignition coil or even an injector. I hope it's not internal. It's very unlikely to be internal anyway. We just built the engine now, so it's going to be down to the spark plugs or the ignition coil. Time will tell. Let's have a look. Right, so we just pulled the spark plug out.
Same thing I think.
Huh?
Same thing I think, man.
Same thing you think, yeah?
Yeah.
What's the problem? Tell me. So the spark plug, oh, it's very hot. It's very hot. Okay, so it looks like the gap of the spark plug is too close. So you're gonna gap it a little bit, yeah? So we're gonna gap the spark plug a little bit, put it back in, and start again. So we have just gapped the spark plug. We're gonna put it back in now with the ignition coil and give it another start. And let's see if this misfire has stopped. And hopefully that should be the end of the problems. And the last thing we'll have to do is just put everything back together again and go for a test drive. All right, so spark plug and ignition coil is back in. Let's jump in and start it up. I don't need to jump in, I'm gonna bring the key right in and check. Yep, engine management light is still there, of course, because I have to clear that with the machine, but look at the idle. That is perfect. Look at that. That's what you call a smooth engine. I do need to cut the engine though, because when we did start it up, as you can see, we've got a massive coolant leak somewhere underneath, and we've seen that the flange at the back is leaking. So with these kind of jobs, it's always forever ending problems. So now we need to get hold of the flange. As you can see, the coolant has completely come out, but it's all right because we only had the car running for like a few seconds. It's not going to affect anything at all. So yeah, man, what can I say? The CLS63 Amg is finally alive and it's completely working absolutely fine with no issues whatsoever. So yes guys, that brings an end to this video. We finally got there at the end. Can you believe it? 4 months later, here we are with the CLS63 Amg completely running fine. It's a shame about the coolant leak. If it wasn't for that, we could have taken the car on the road for a test drive right now. But oh well, it is what it is. We've ordered the flange now. Let that come. We'll install it, put some coolant in, and hit the road for a test drive. Looking forward to showing you guys an update on that one on the next part of this video. But I gotta thank you guys for being patient, because it's actually been 4 months since we tore this car apart, which is a long time. The car's up and running, and in the next part I'll be showing you the car on the road, going for a test drive, and finalizing bits and pieces. But yeah guys, this is Nams from Boost Performance. You know who we are. You can find us on Instagram, you can find us on Google. Give me a follow on my personal Instagram, Nams_Boost, because I do post a lot of content on there as well that doesn't make it on YouTube. Sometimes even updates on my projects that I'm doing for YouTube. So yeah, definitely guys, give me a follow on that. If any of you guys need an engine rebuild, whether it's a failed engine, a forged engine for more power, or even a turbo conversion, ECU tuning, we do it all. It's all in-house. Not to mention we carry out servicing, MOTs, and also some maintenance on any performance or any make and model for that matter. But yeah guys, I'm going to end the video here. Thank you very much for watching and being patient. Drop me a like on this video, subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.